What's going on? I'm Arch Manning, Viore athlete and college quarterback. Whether I'm running, training, traveling, or just unwinding at home, I love doing it in my core shorts from Viore. With a breathable boxer brief liner, they're quick to dry, super versatile, and stand up to even my most intense training sessions. Plus, they come in 3 inseams and a ton of colors. Ready to try a pair? Go to viore.com/arch and get 20% off at checkout. I think you're going to love them as much as I do. That's viore.com/ARCH and get 20% off your first order. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Have a great day.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn and welcome to How We're the Podcast, and you join us as we gather just minutes after the final whistle as Sunderland draw against Everton 1-1 at the Stadium of Light in a bit of a confusing game that at one point I might have taken a point from, and later in the game I was pretty disappointed we didn't take all 3. But we do remain unbeaten at home in the Premier League, and we do remain in a Champions League place as well, which aren't bad things to take out of a home draw. But luckily, I have a couple of gentlemen who will take us through their thoughts and make sense of it all. First up, we have Brett. Hello, Brett.
How we doing, Chris? You good?
Yeah, good to have you back, mate. Two in a row.
Two in a row, yeah. So I'm like a bus at the moment. So I've not been on for months, and I've literally 2 appearances. So yeah, I am back. Maybe slightly less optimistic than I might have been on today's other pod, but yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Yeah, be good to hear what you think of that game when we get into it, because we also have Michael with us. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Chris. How are you? I've been a little longer than Brett. I think it's actually post-Wembley since I've been on, so it's a real return of the Jedi.
I know, it's brilliant. I know, but just a shame we couldn't been talking about a win, that's all. But but we'll start with you, Michael, because I was saying that I was slightly confused after the game and during the game, really. I didn't quite know how I wanted to feel about it. I'm kind of disappointed now, but at one point I would have taken it. I mean, how are you just feeling about the fact we got a point?
Yeah, I think if you were talking to me maybe after the 30th minute in the first half, I would snap your hand off for a draw, because obviously the first half was a bit of a shit show. Like we didn't really get going. We were standing off Everton, and in fairness, I think it was a 10 seconds in, they nearly were 1 up through Garner. So yeah, look, second half a lot better. We upped the ante. I think Xhaka and a couple of other lads start winning the midfield battle, and got the goal early doors, and then put the pressure on. Probably need to create a few more chances at home. I don't know if it's the way we set up or something. We just sort of felt like maybe up front Isidore was a bit isolated, but I mean, as you said, the way the first half was going, you take a point all day long.
Yeah. Well, now you've gone through the whole game, Michael. That's it from How We're the Podcast.
Yeah.
We'll get into it a little bit more detail, all right? But yeah, Brett, I mean, your overriding feelings. I mean, a point, is it a good point? Is it have we dropped 2 points? How are you feeling about it?
If you look at it as in, well, as I said yesterday, I saw this game as a win for us at the start of the season. You know, when you look at where you're going to get your 3 points from that are going to keep you in the Premier League. You know, Everton home for me was one that's when we should be targeting a win. Now, I was just literally, as you were talking, then thinking, I'm a bit pissed off right now that we've drawn that, but I'm actually pissed off because we're 4th in the Premier League, which again, so it's a really weird one that, this result. And you both already said, we'll probably say it more, on it. It was patches game where we were absolutely atrocious and patches we looked brilliant. So it was it's right now though I'm disappointed with a point. I say just because of before this game, I was expecting really 3.
Yeah. Well, look, let's get into the team, because we'll go into that start, Michael, because, he's picked it's the first time this season he's picked an unchanged side from the game before, which is very unlike, Regis Labrie. He's almost like the Tinker Man. He's like, we're going back to Ranieri, where he's got a plan for every opposition. But Alderete was still out by not in the squad. So seemingly that took a dilemma away from him that he had to go through, whether he was going to get back in the team. But he did go back with that 5 at the back. Now, we'll get into kind of the ins and outs of the start, but do you think that potentially had a bit of an impact that actually at home we had seemingly had more players in kind of our defensive third than kind of the attacking third, and we couldn't really get out.
You wonder maybe psychologically when you set up like that, the team just sort of think they need to sit back a bit more or something.
Oh.
Yeah, like I mean, personally, I obviously would think we probably should only play 4 at the back, an extra man midfield, or maybe just someone linking off with Isidore, more so. But you could see the way we started there. We were just sort of, I don't know, we looked a little bit lethargic or something, or we were kind of conservative, and you wouldn't, obviously, given that we beat Chelsea a couple of weeks ago, it's hard to take any of those lads out of the starting 11. But probably just looked a bit flat from the start. And in fairness, like Everton really came with a good intensity in the first half an hour, where they really brought the game to us. And I think we actually looked a bit shell shocked really the way Everton played. Like, we probably, after beating Chelsea, I think we all kind of go in thinking, this will be a handy enough one home. But you have to give credit to Everton too. In fairness, like I mean, their midfield, Dewsbury Hall, Garner, I thought were really good. They got on top early doors, and even Barry up front was a bit of a handful for the defenders. So I don't know if maybe we just took Everton for granted a little bit as well.
Yeah, even Barry. I like that sentence because
Yeah.
that sums Barry up, I think.
I actually thought it was Gareth Barry until I looked at the team.
I think he was about as quick as Gareth Barry,
Yeah.
to be fair. But no, Brett, we'll go on that first period until that first goal, because you could almost see it building up. I mean, what did you put that down to? Was it because Michael's just said about Everton pressing, and I thought their press was really good, but we didn't deal with it at all. We were sloppy in possession. Even the 5-yard passes didn't go right. So did you put it down to, was it the system that we didn't have enough options for players to pass to? Was it just sloppy passing full stop? Was it Everton's press? What did you put it down to?
I don't blame the system for it, because obviously it worked well at Chelsea. And although I must admit, I was surprised by it. And if you heard the preview pod, all of us said it was going to be a 4 at the back. There's no chance of playing 5. So seeing that was quite a shock. I'll be honest, I just thought we were so sloppy. The passing is like, it was just night and day. Like, believing it, like from the first 30 minutes of the first half to the first 30 minutes of the second half, it was night and day. Like, everything was so much snappier and quicker, but we just didn't get going, which is really, really strange. Especially for a home game, you expected us to come out of the traps, but if you were watching that game, you didn't know which team was playing at home, you would have easily said Everton, because, as you said, from the first 10 seconds, they could have scored. And I don't know, it just seemed a little bit shell shocked as with the players all of a sudden believing the hype or something. I don't know that we've given them. I hope it's not that. I don't think it is, but yeah, we were just so sloppy. And you can't blame I don't blame the system for it, because say when the man is there 5 yards in front of you and the pass goes nowhere near him, or you just can't control it, or he misses it, that's not a system problem.
Yeah.
Those days happen though, don't they? A little bit. Like, I feel like you're going to get games like that where things just aren't going astray, but you just have to sort of ride the storm a little bit and not concede the second in that half an hour when it's not going well.
Yeah.
Like, you get out of that with a 1-0 deficit, it's actually not too bad.
Yeah. I mean, but Michael, I mean, he said maybe it wasn't the system, but I wouldn't, because the players didn't seem to know whether to play it short, whether to play it long. And at times in that first period, Isidore looked so isolated that there was a huge gap between our back 5 and Isidore, where against Chelsea, I mean, Brett said it worked against Chelsea, which it absolutely did, but we seemed to break a little quicker against Chelsea. And, is that psychological, or is that, the fact we're playing at home, or again, do we put it down to the opposition?
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of Everton, isn't it? I mean, as you were saying there, when the ball was going forward to Isidore, like the distances between him and the midfield were just huge. Like, and Isidore, probably his game isn't actually that kind of physical long ball battle. And one thing Everton do have is huge defenders like Keane and O'Brien, and who the other one was tonight was who's the other Everton defender? I can't even remember his name now. Michael Keane and
Yes, Tarkowski.
Tarkowski, sorry, yeah. But they're huge. Like, even the right, like they'll probably win all those from Easter. And obviously there was no one really getting up close to him when he was losing those. So I think we probably just needed that extra man in midfield just to support them, kind of ride the storm a little bit. Yeah, I think we probably should just go with an extra man in midfield. It's just sort of, I think we just looked a bit out of kilter with what Everton were setting up.
Yeah, well, let's go on that first goal, 14 minutes, and there was a bit of a kind of a scramble for the ball on our left-hand side, where I think Ronaldo was trying to win the ball back to start with. Then Siddiqui did win the ball back. and then he kind of went to ground, and then Njai took up possession and just seemed to skip right across the pitch. Riding tackles from Dan Ballard, Xhaka, for just to name two. And then there was seemingly no challenge after that, and it was a great finish, Brett. But you again, I remember the first goal against Manchester United. I think it was when Mason Mount scored. People said, "Oh, well, it's good play," and you could say this is a good goal. I don't think there was any real challenge on him.
No, it's when you've got that many people trying to make a challenge. Surely, like the odds are in your favour. Someone's going to get a toe to it and do something with it. To be fair, though, I actually did think it was like from his point of view, it was a very, very good goal. Disappointing from ours, but he the way he did dance for it, left foot to right foot. It's a swing to defender. You're very disappointed of that. Speaking as a football fan, you go, do you know what? Fair play. That was a good goal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Michael, your take on that goal? Good play or poor defending, and let's go back to Siddiqui going to ground. I mean, what did you make of that as well?
Oh, he should go into the ground too easy, didn't he? Like I think straight away on the TV, I was like, "Why are you dropping there for?" And straight away, I was like, "You're not going to get free for that." And I was even surprised that VAR even looked at it. No, it was a good goal. In fairness, and he's a good player. Actually, he'd be someone I'd like us to go for in the future if we're still in the European places come the end of the season. But no,
look at Michael. Look at Michael getting carried away.
Yeah. No, but I suppose once he wrote the first challenge, he kind of went into the box there, isn't he? And I could see Ballard. I think he looked half tempted to stick a foot out, but I think at that stage you just don't want to give away the penalties. So you probably have to give a bit of credit to Ndai. It was a good goal, but Siddiqui went down way too easy for me. Way too easy.
Yeah, you got the same feeling about that, Brett?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and well, to be fair, from my point of view, it was around just around that time for the replays, my stream froze. So I'd actually, because I didn't even see when, like, there's a few times in the first half where there was two bookings that I missed. But no, from what I did see of it, it wasn't his best moment for us. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I've never heard of Sky Glass. Freezing all
I think in Milton Keynes area had a little bit of an issue.
Yeah. I
a few times.
I read that. But actually, Brett, just quickly on that, that opening period with Siddiqui, because he's just, you have to almost kind of go back to the fact he's so young and where he's had one breakout season that actually we've been going, oh, he's incredible. He's one of comparisons with Conte and all of this sort of stuff. And when he has it at half an hour like this, you go, oh yeah, God, actually, look, he's 20 years old. Yep. He's just come into the Premier League, and you go, it was probably coming at some point that his form dipped a little bit.
Do you know what? It was actually the commentator at one point said he's 20 years old. I thought, oh Christ, he is.
Yeah.
Because the way he has literally played for us, and as you say, he looks like he's been doing it for absolute years. He should be like 28, 29. He's bossing it. So yeah, and I think that is, I'd say, when you sort of step away from like the game itself, and you think, actually, we still are a very young team, barring one or two players. We are are an experienced Premier League team. So we are going to get halves like that, 30 minutes like that, games like that. So I think the fact we're sort of talking now, we're sort of getting up to like the 30-minute mark of the game, and when it kind of we got ourselves back on track, that I think shows actually quite a good character for us. Yeah. So there is a lot of things as we go through the game, there'll be a lot of things we can take away. I think, well, actually, do you know what? That's actually a positive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wanted to come on to you, Michael, actually, but before that period after the goal, because you touched on it earlier on, but you look at the chances that Everton had in this game, and just in that period where they could have finished the game off. Grealish shot from the edge of the box that hit the post, and then just after that, Barry missed that chance from just a couple of yards out. But these were examples. These were coming from our mistakes, being so sloppy in possession. We were giving them possession in our half. And one of the perfect examples, I think, Siddiqui was sloppy on the Barry chance to give the ball away. And then if you look at Ronaldo marking Barry at the back post, just let him kind of come off his shoulder, didn't realise he was there. But it was so sloppy. But it was the simple things we were really sloppy with in that period.
Yeah, they're all coming from our mistakes, and we're kind of just blessed that it wasn't the better team. Maybe someone had someone better than Gareth Barry up front to score the goals, because obviously, if that was even say Arsenal on Saturday, Gyökeres or Saka, it's going to be 2 or 3-0 within the half an hour. So a lot to, in a way, nearly was a lot to learn from us. It was a great learning experience for a lot of those young lads that it happened in the game, say against an Everton, where we actually still kind of got away with a bit and we rode the storm a little bit more and got through it only 1-0 down and could build on it going into the second half. But, some of those mistakes, the likes of Siddiqui, I think you could see he lost his head then. He went in and clattered someone like 2 seconds afterwards. I thought it was hilarious that Ronaldo was the man trying to tell him to calm down, given his Aston Villa diabolical as well. But no, look, yeah, we learned from our mistakes, thankfully. But the things you would need to tighten up because a better team would punish you a lot more going forward.
Yeah, it is interesting, Brett, actually, that when Siddiqui was getting a few fouls given against it, or wasn't getting a few fouls given against him, even though he was going to ground, he was getting a bit frustrated. And actually, I think this is the first time where, because even in the game against Aston Villa or the game against Manchester United, we were really controlled even when things were seemingly going against us. But this is the first time we looked a little bit rattled and we looked a little bit shook up.
Definitely.
And we were so fortunate not to go 2-0 down in that time.
No, we were rattled. And as I say, hopefully this is a bit of a learning curve for everyone, as a team, then there's those moments when the lads have got to like help each other out. And if they see one of their teammates is struggling, like Xhaka's done. I saw Xhaka do it at, when was it, the Chelsea game? He got like Chris Rigg pulled over to one side and you could see him really talking to him one-on-one, like there was a corner just about to happen. And I think that's really what they just need to do. Like moments like that, he can get a little bit of immaturity about him. We just need to rein him in. So I think one thing we seem to be quite good at this season is when we've had, I'm talking about we've lost, we haven't even lost. But when we have lost games, we've actually then done well in the games afterwards. So we seem to be learning from those mistakes, and I think we'll keep growing as a team this season.
Yeah. Talking about growing this season, I mean, I thought it was, again, it's almost surprising. It shouldn't be surprising with this team. But when we started getting back into it, Michael, you almost thought, we almost just flicked a switch after about half an hour. We went, all right, well, we'll best start playing now because this isn't just going to fall into our lap. We're not just going to win this without. Because I think against Wolves, we could almost play in second gear and we still won against Wolves because Wolves were so poor. But I think it's almost in this one, it took a bit of a shock to the system to go, right, we need to start going here. And you could see us starting to get a bit possession and you could see Xhaka just saying, calm down when we were in possession, keep the ball a little bit. And we got a bit of joy for it eventually.
Yeah, and I think you saw the benefit of the likes of Xhaka there, what Brett was just referring to, like that communication. You could see that I could see the hand gesture constantly just to cool down, calm the lads around and down. And I think there's a couple of like kind of crunching tackles that went in as well. Probably got the crowd going. Then we got, as you said, I think it was probably took about 35 minutes for us to string a few passes together before I think Gertrude might have had a shot around then and went over the bar. But yeah, it was amazing. It took us so long, but you could see the confidence growing and they probably thought, right, we've ridden the storm here now, and they grew into the game, and probably that composure from some of our experienced players probably helped them as well, I'd say.
Yeah, we looked pretty good in that last 10, 15 minutes, but I did forget Jordan Pickford was in goal because I didn't actually see him do anything. But we went into half-time and we clearly had words because we needed it and we know the momentum was going our way. But Brett, to come out in the second half, and I mean, it's obvious, all teams say this, look, let's get the quick goal, move on from there. But we did. I mean, we came out the blocks and sometimes teams, when you see them come out from half-time, they come into the game cold and it takes them a bit of time to warm up again after half time. But we got straight into it and you could see the game plan was simply just let's get at them and get that goal as quickly as possible.
Oh, definitely. And it's almost like when you say we did well for the last 15 minutes of second half, and then you do think that you've got that period at half time when they cool down and they're going to take them to warm up and build up again. We were straight adults. It was really weird. The game sort of played out at this point almost like the mirror image to the first half. So where Everton completely were all over us, all of a sudden we just flipped on its head and right, do you know what, we're going to be all over you now. And it was it was so more like refreshing to see us actually go for it. It's just a shame we didn't start the first minute as we started the 45th minute.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the goal, Michael. And Pickford made a save. Lefebvre kept it alive, which I think we've been really good at that actually. When we've been getting chances or it's been bouncing around the box, we keep it alive. We just put it into areas, and Lefebvre kind of kept it alive, kept the ball, came out to Xhaka, and he hit the shot. I'm not convinced it would have went in otherwise. But
No.
took a big deflection, went in on the underside of the bar, and I assume that the commentator kept saying that he's got his first of the season. I assume it'll be given to Xhaka.
Yeah, it did take a massive deflection, but I suppose the only thing maybe in his favour that it probably was still going to go on target. It probably would have been a save for Pickford, but um, oh look, what no better start you can get at the start of the second half. I mean, it just sort of increased the tempo completely between the fans and the players. Everyone was be on board then, and great finish. We'll give it to him. We don't know who hit it, but it was a massive deflection. But you have to give it to him, surely, 100%.
Yeah,
They gave him man of the match anyway, so I'm assuming they're going to give him the goal as well.
give the goal scorer the goal. I mean, Brett, are we just going to pretend that for his first goal he smashed it in the top corner from 20 yards?
No, because I'm obviously leading the predictor league, and I didn't have him down as first goal scorer. So no, definitely own goal. No, definitely it was his goal. If it's on target, I think that is rule, isn't it? If it's on target and it goes in, even if it completely goes the opposite direction, it's his goal. So yeah, first goal for Sunderland for Xhaka.
Yeah, but it's one of these things, though, Brett, that actually when you've got a team, pinned back a little bit, it's almost like you think, right, well, during this period, we've got to try and get something from it. And when the ball comes out to Xhaka, you know what he's like. He could have had 4 or 5 different options, but it's almost like, well, let's build up the pressure by having a shot. And even if the keeper makes a save or goes out for a corner, you're building up that pressure, aren't you?
Well, I think Michael said it at the very, very beginning that the one thing we seem to do struggle is sometimes getting shots away and shots on target. So it's if there's an opportunity to get one, and I'd say even before there was a shot that Pickford saved, the free keeps it going. The same thing can happen now. If you don't shoot, you don't score. It's just and the amount of times you see a ball, especially when it's a crowded penalty area, like what happened today, that ball can deflect absolutely anywhere. We had it against Chelsea last week for the first goal. Again, there was a crowded area, bit of a bounce around, bit of ping ball, and then Isidore gets it in. So, yeah, sometimes you've just got to buy a ticket if you're going to win a raffle. So, yeah. I want to see how many more cliches I can say in that sentence.
I think you've got a bet with someone, haven't you?
8 out of 9 on the bingo card here, so one more to go.
I'm gonna have to look out for you putting music lyrics or something like that. But just sticking with you, Brett, just before we leave that first half behind, actually, because I wanted to actually quickly touch on Traore's performance in that first half, Brett, because actually I thought I was actually surprised to see him in the starting 11, if I'm completely honest. But actually, in that first half, he was potentially our best player.
I thought he was. I think, I know again, just sort of referring back to yesterday's one, I know the other two guys both sort of had him dropped. And I actually thought he'd probably stick in it because I think Lebris actually likes him a lot. And he did play really well. He had that one shot that was, I think the only shot of the first half that was absolute garbage. But other than that, he was getting involved a lot of the game. And he's also, his defensive work was good as well. So yeah, I actually thought he had a really, really strong game today.
Yeah.
It just that fight, he seems to me though, like obviously he's not, but he seems like that very raw about him, and he just needs that bit more composure for that final pass, that final shot. But I couldn't fault his work rate.
Yeah, it's funny because when you say he's raw, he almost plays like he's 20-year-old, doesn't he?
That's the problem. We've got players who are 20 that play like they're 29.
But he does he does seem to be getting fitter, and as he's getting fitter, he does seem to become more effective, which is good. Now, Michael, I wanted to bring you in because, what was it? Just over 5 minutes after the goal, we had the tackle, Trey Hughes tackle on Grealish. Now, he got a yellow card for this, and we all love the tackle at Wembley, and ideally, we want to see him do it more often because it lifts the crowd. It's brilliant. I tell you what, in the Premier League, if he gets that timing even just out, because I tell you what, I reckon referees are going to start looking for him if he keeps going tackles like this. And at some point, he's not going to time it right, is he?
I was shocked when it came up on the Sky screen that it was his first yellow of the season.
Yeah, so was that.
But yeah, no, I mean, I read somebody who said in our WhatsApp group earlier on, it says you're not going to get away with them. They're 50-50s in the Premier Leagues. Like another referee today could have easily sent him off, and really, could you have had any complaints on it? Like it was high, it was dangerous, and he seemed to be getting on Grealish's nerves as well. He was down his ankles a good few times in the first half as well. So no, I think Hume needs to be careful, and he sort of has his card marked now, especially with the game being on TV and stuff. Referees would have seen that, and if they're refereeing him in the future, they'll be watching him, because last year he got away with a good few. Arguably, maybe in the final as well, he probably could have got sent off for that. So, yeah, I think he's gonna. I'd say to have a word with him now and just maybe tone it down, or maybe only every 6 or 7 games just come out with one of those. Don't do it every game.
Exactly 6 or 7. No, I'm sure the manager will say, right, 6.5 games you're allowed one.
Yeah, yeah.
But Brett, I mean, I'm looking at my notes here, and I've got up to about 75 minutes that we completely dominated the game.
Mhm.
You know, I've got like 61% possession. I think the stats were we'd had 6 shots in that second half. Everton, I don't think they had a touch in the box up till about 80
Yeah.
minutes in that second half. But the problem is we had 1 shot on target, and for all that dominance, you just kind of felt that we weren't really creating enough.
No, and I think that's going to be one of our issues this season. We're not big goal scorers anyway this season. You know, there's a lot of our scores are going to be like ones and twos, if that. But and as we said earlier, like, I just think that could have been the time when to change and maybe go for 2 up top. I know we haven't, and try and mix something up. I was quite surprised how long it took for any subs to come on today. Where we had this last season where he very rarely made subs, and then this season he's actually like, well, I'm going to be really proactive. I'll make some changes as and when. Like I actually thought it reminded me of like the United game when we then like did change things up.
Mm.
I'm surprised we didn't do it actually change in the first half, and the players actually sorted themselves out. So that is, going forward. Obviously we've got Robbie Laird who's still to be getting fitter. Moyenda seems to have fallen out of favour a little bit as a striker. So, but no, I think that is going to be the issue. We just need, as I always said it, we just need to get shots on target, because like Xhaka, things happen.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we were completely dominated, and we did have a couple of chances, Michael, and we did have a couple of penalty shouts as well for handball. Now, I thought that the first one potentially a bit weak. Second one, I mean, I don't think his hands are in a natural position. I'm surprised that they didn't get the referee to take a look at that.
That was the one with Michael Keane, I think, wasn't it? When
Yeah.
across the ball, yeah. And he sort of pushed his arm towards the ball. You've seen. There's another cliche, Brett. This might be the bingo card. You've seen them given, but I just
Bing, 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 bing.
I probably could have been a little bit soft, but of all the penalty shouts, it was probably the one that was closest to maybe being given. Maybe that his arms are down on his side that they didn't give it, but he kind of did move his body towards the ball, that it kind of looked like an unnatural position. But again, I think if that was given against us, we probably would have felt a bit hard done by.
Yeah, well, the biggest chance I would say, Brett, was maybe the Isidore chance off the Michele cross. That you could maybe argue he could have done better, but it's one of these. It's one of them where we're kind of almost clutching at straws if that was the best we produced in that second half.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit of a lesson that for players that in the Premier League, though, sometimes you don't actually get that many chances, and when they do come up, you can't snatch at them like he did.
Mm.
That was a big miss. You've got to be doing something with that ball in that opportunity. You can't basically miskick it, which that's schoolboy stuff what he'd done there. So no, that was disappointing on that part. Obviously, we've seen him score bangers from time to time. Sometimes he needs to score those easier goals as well. That was very disappointing. That he actually it'd be a perfect chance that we just let go completely.
Yeah, just to bring you in on the penalties, Brett, because there's the 2 handballs, which you can give us your thoughts on those, but also there was the one on Michele where I thought this was strange because brilliant ball in from Xhaka, by the way, first time, unbelievable cross. But Michele went in for the header. Now, the really weird thing about this was the referee said, "Oh, he made contact with his shoulder." So I'm like, "Well, he kicked him." So surely doesn't matter if he hits him in the head or whether he kicks him in the shoulder. Surely it's a penalty.
If you kick someone anywhere, really, that is a penalty. That one for me, I actually thought he did catch him in the head. Yeah. I didn't think it was his shoulder anyway. I actually thought that one should have been a penalty. As you rightly say there, if it's the shoulder, if it's the stomach, it's a penalty. You can't do that. So that one I'm surprised we didn't get. I was actually surprised about the King one we didn't get because when, as Michael said, his arm wasn't in a natural position. Well, his left arm was in his right arm's position.
Yeah.
So obviously, you can see on a podcast when I do this and make the letter F on my body.
Perfect.
That's almost what it was like. So for me, that, and again, it'd be one of those ones where if it was against us, we would moan and say it's never a penalty. But I think actually we've got a perfectly good shout to have got both of those as penalties.
Yeah. Just on the subs, Michael, because Brett touched on it. Brian Broby seems to be the flavour of the month in terms of, and I think that Regis Labris said in his press conference, he said he doesn't want to break players' momentum when they get, they have a good moment like Broby did at Chelsea. So he's thinking, well, he's got a bit of momentum about him. But Elijah Mayenda must be sitting on that bench thinking, I've got a bit of pace, I'm sharp, and he's desperate to get on, and he must be pretty disappointed.
100%. And as Brett referred to earlier there, like Broby's definitely taken over Mienda's position as sort of the second choice striker behind Isidore. I actually was sort of surprised that the two of them didn't come on and maybe try occupy Everton's centre halves a bit more. It was probably a little bit easy for them at times with Isidore. He just wasn't really getting involved in that physical battle, whereas Mienda has the pace, but also the strength along with Broby's strength. And if you're Mienda, you're sort of looking at it now like, when am I going to get a chance again? Because Broby seems to definitely be the man who's kind of coming in first off the bench, and it's very rare probably that we're going to bring two strikers on or start with two strikers. So you're sort of just thinking maybe whenever Mienda gets a chance to come off the bench again, he's going to have to do something fairly impactful to push up the list there.
Yeah, you touched on it earlier, Brett. What are your thoughts on it? Because, we're talking about Mayenda or Broby being potentially that second striker, but also it's slightly surprising Mayenda's not brought on to play wide late in games where, in a game like this where you might want a bit of pace late on, to stick him, well, maybe Lefay or even instead of Talby or coming on. But, not just up front, Mayenda's got that option of playing wide as well.
Yeah, and the thing about Mayenda is we know he has got a goal in him. He can score goals. So I can understand bringing Talby on today. Obviously, he scored late last week, so I do get the reasoning why. Lefay, though, to be fair to him, he was still in the game. He was still doing his bits, doesn't he? You always get 100% out of him. He's always going to get himself stuck in, and he has still got that little trick up his sleeve occasionally that he brings out. So I can kind of see why not bringing him on today, but I do get the point where he needs more game time anyway, just in general, because the longer they're on the bench, the rustier they're going to get. So from time to time, we are going to need some of these squad players.
Yeah.
There's also Dinker is on the bench as well today. Like we thought he might have come on as well because he's got serious pace. So like there's options there. He seems to just have his favourites at the moment that's sort of coming on.
Yeah, you've got to assume that Dinger was fully fit if he's on the bench. They're not going to put him on if he's kind of running at kind of 80% or whatever. But I thought, Michael, after all that dominance, 93rd minute, of all people, Xhaka, which, something he never does, gave the ball away, and they break 2-on-1, and I just thought, he will go again. I thought, well, this is the moment where kind of it turns a little bit, and a last-minute goal, but we managed to get away with it in the end.
I was laughing as well because I think literally maybe a minute beforehand, Don Goodman just announced Jack as man of the match, and what a wonderful performance from the captain. And he brought Sutherland back into the game, and then the commentators interrupt him to tell he's just given the ball away in the halfway line. It was a 2-on-1. I actually I had my hands over my face at that stage. I was like, don't even want to know what's going to happen next. But that would have been a sick ending. I don't know if this podcast would have lasted a half an hour.
I'm not sure we would have recorded it at all, if I'm completely honest, if that had gone in. But Brett, we did kind of draw ones each, of course. We did get that point. But again, when those late stages, I have to admit, when it was it was almost feeling that you could sense it in the crowd almost, that the crowd went quiet a little bit because almost we were desperate to score that goal, and you could see that the players were disappointed on the pitch that it was 1-1 in those late stages.
Yeah, to be honest, that last few minutes, there was a stage where it felt a little bit like almost like the old basketball game where it got really stretched from just out of nowhere. Like I say, because the lads wanted to win. At the end of the day, they wanted to be second. they wanted to win this game. Then they gave they gave everything, didn't they? At the end of the day. It's just frustrating. It's just I just couldn't get it over the line today.
Yeah.
But it could have quite easily, let me say, gone the other way. So, 1 point in that moment, 1 point's a good result. But give Xhaka his due. He's allowed at least one bad moment in 10 games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just going, because I said in the intro, Michael, that we're unbeaten at home. Which, God, if you asked me, would I take that going into the middle of November? I would have snapped your hand off going into that. Going into the third international break, by the way. But that's a podcast in itself, how much I'm sick of international break. But talking about our home form on paper is fantastic, but actually the last couple of performances, I'm almost, and I don't know if this is just a pride thing that I've got maybe a little bit more pride in how we're playing away from home because we're taking it aside. But almost at home, some of the performances, even though the results have been brilliant on paper, still unbeaten, I'm kind of like, you kind of think there's more in the tank with this team at home, don't you?
Yeah. I wonder, is it just the way we're set up? Is it the style of play that we probably, we're more of a counter-attacking team and it really suits us to go away from home at times? And maybe when we have to take the initiative to the team at home, we probably struggle a little bit more with it. And it's also sort of that battle between, trading off your solidity for your creativity in terms of how we're playing. And whilst we're really solid at the back, I wonder if you lose a bit of that. Is it really the trade-off worth it in terms of going forward? Are we going to score more than the other team? You know what I mean? So it's sort of a hard one. I mean, I can't believe we're kind of even being anyway negative about being fourth in the table and unbeaten at home. Just beat Chelsea last week. But no, I know what you're coming from. It's just sort of maybe sometimes I don't know if it's that we've been playing in the Championship and League One the last few years. You're sort of expecting at home that we're going to blow teams away a bit more than we are, obviously coming into the Premier League. So maybe it's just something we have to get used to as well, coming from a lower level.
Yeah. Well, I'll try and caveat myself, Brett, by just saying that I think it's a brilliant thing that actually we are where we are on the table. We're unbeaten at home, but you look at our team and you just go, actually, there's a little bit more. There's whether it's getting the right formulas on the flanks, which I still think we're looking for, or the right formula at home where that we make maybe more clear-cut chances. But there's something that you just think, which is fantastic because we're getting the results, yet you just think this team can still improve.
This team is growing constantly. And that is the great thing about it. And I kept saying all of last season that, it's going to click and we're going to absolutely batter someone. And I'm not at them levels this season, but it just, as I said, where the experience side of it is coming into it. Look, where we are after 10 games is amazing. And as you say, there's so many more gears that this team can go up to, and so much more that they can, unlock within themselves. So it is exciting. It is exciting, and I say there's no point in being downbeat about today's result because, as you say, 10 games in, absolutely fantastic. We're playing Arsenal at the weekend. As it stands, we're two Champions League teams playing each other. So I'm looking at it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's do a final summing up, Michael. Whether you're happy with the game and whether or not you agree with Don Goodman's choice for man of the match.
I mean, Jacques is amazing, really, isn't he? I just still can't believe he's playing for us, really, sometimes. He was brilliant tonight. I mean, second half, he just took the game to Everton, really. He kind of controlled the whole midfield. And it's just his overall leadership. I know this has obviously been spoken about before, but he just sort of, everyone seems to look up to him on the team. Like you see the young lads there, and I say they're just sort of in awe that he's in their team, in their side. So yeah, I thought he was fantastic. And look, take a point to go again. You never know. We might be at Arsenal before out of 6, so we'll be happy enough with that going into the international break.
Yeah. And your final thoughts on it, Brett, and whether, I mean, it's almost like every week we're almost trying to look for someone else to be man of the match, aren't we?
When it comes to Jack, I must say, I don't actually ever remember him being that good for Arsenal.
Yeah.
I don't remember. He's just amazing. He's absolutely brilliant for us. So, yeah, unfortunately today, no one else got an absolute sniff for man of the match. It had to be him. But no, I say I think my mood has changed about 7 times during this podcast, how happy or sad I was about the result. I'll put it this way: 4 points out of Chelsea and Everton is a pretty decent return. You'd take that from the start. So, yeah, could have been better, but could have been worse. So, yeah, I'll go with fourth place.
Yep, I'm just glad we got to the end of this podcast without saying it's a game of 2 offs, to be honest. But we got there in the end.
I was tempted.
Well, that's a brilliant place to stop for tonight. That just leaves me to say thank you very much, Michael. Always a pleasure, mate.
Thanks, mate. Hopefully not too long again before I'm on.
Absolutely. And Brett, 2 in a row.
Yeah, I'll be back in about March, maybe.
I think Johnny's back from R&A for the next 2 months again, isn't he? So.
Well, of course, we will have another one tomorrow to go through all the in finer detail and maybe not as many cliches. But thanks again, everyone, for listening. Don't forget, of course, we'll have more reaction to the game every day this week as we reflect on this and then begin to look forward to our clash against Arsenal on Saturday. And I think this weekend, actually, I think the top four all play each other this week, and we're one of them. I'm sure Man City have got Liverpool, I think, on Sunday.
Yeah.
So yeah,
yes,
so
they have.
and
So one of them's going to drop points.
yeah, exactly. So
we take advantage of it.
Yeah, let's see where we end up at top of the table clash. So that's something to take away from the night anyway. We'll also have more reaction on the Rugby Report website, so look out for all of that as well. But from us, bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.